markets in decline. We decode the chaos, dollar signs in the mind. Charts like hieroglyphs, I'm the Rosetta. Cracking the code, profits my vendetta. Brokers in suits playing modern day roulette. Hustle's the anthem, never forget her. Green flows deep like a river run wide. Dow and NASDAQ on a roller coaster ride. Options popping, futures collide. We in the trenches, watch the tide. Welcome to the hustle, welcome to the grind. Wall Street Weekly where the numbers unwind. Trends on the rise or markets in decline. We decode the chaos, dollar signs in the mind. Tick-tock clocks, markets don't sleep. Investors play wolves, prey ain't cheap. Candlesticks flicker, secrets they keep. In the game of greed, the stakes run deep. Tick-tock clocks, markets don't sleep. Investors play wolves, prey ain't cheap. Candlesticks flicker, secrets they keep. In the game of greed, the stakes run deep. Tick-tock clocks, markets don't sleep. Investors play wolves, prey ain't cheap. Candlesticks flicker, secrets they keep. In the game of greed, the stakes run deep. Huh. Yeah. 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 Huh. Tick-tock clocks, markets don't sleep. Investors play wolves, prey ain't cheap. Candlesticks flicker, secrets they keep. In the game of greed, the stakes run deep.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. I see K Diggity had a comment about the music I was playing beforehand. He said, I feel like I need an Adidas tracksuit to this new intro song. Yeah, I was just trying something new. I've been fiddling around with some AI, making some music. That way, when you're sitting here before the show starts, you have a little something to listen to. Let me just hop in, say good morning to everyone in the chat right now, and then we'll dive in, get you prepped for some success today. We got K Diggity in here first. We've got Crypto Billy. Good morning to you. We've got Crypto Badell in here as well. Good morning. I saw you were up early on Discord there, sir. So glad to see you in here. We've got Darren Does Things. Good morning to you. Let's see who else we got. Looks like that's it for now. So let's dive on in, get you prepped for some success today. You know I got that stock heat map pulled up like always. We're seeing quite a bit of green from yesterday's close, but this pre-market looking a little bit red so far. We've got Apple sitting up 0.54% from its close yesterday, looking to the downside 0.6 so far. We've got Nvidia sitting up massively from yesterday, 1.8%. You know, it's 1.8% is quite massive when you're talking about a $3 trillion company there. So looking to the upside this morning as well, 0.49%. We got Berkshire Hathaway sitting up 0.3%. And the pre-market looking down just a little bit, down 0.11. We've got Amazon doing quite nicely with its Prime Day sales, seeing a little bit of green from its close yesterday, up 1.45%. Looking to the downside this morning, though, down 0.38%. We've got Eli Lilly up 1.19%, looking a little bit to the downside this morning, down 0.25%. We've got ExxonMobil down 0.34%, and looking to the downside this morning as well, down 0.05%. So nothing too crazy, looking quite neutral. We've got Tesla down 0.65%, looking to the upside this morning though, up 0.62%. We've got PNG sitting to the downside as well, down 0.23, but looking towards the upside this morning, 0.06. We've got Microsoft sitting up 1.39, looking a little bit to the downside this morning in that neutral range, 0.11. And we've got Google also sitting up quite nicely, up 1.43%, looking to the downside this morning as well, down 1.18. And we've got Meta to wrap that on out, sitting to the upside 1.68%, looking extremely neutral this morning, down 0.02%. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things. Crypto side of things looking extremely green on this daily. Scrolling on down, we've got Bitcoin up 2.2%. We've got Ethereum up 6.3%. We've got XRP up 4.9%. It got right to those levels we had talked about at the beginning of the week. We've got BNB up 1.7%. Solana up 3.5%, Tron up 1.1%, we've got Doge up 6%, Cardano up 6.1%, we've got Hyperliquid up 6.9%, SWI up 10%, we've got Bitcoin Cash up 2.2%, Chainlink up 2.1%, Stellar Lumens taking a lot of positions in that market cap, up to number 15 and up 10.2%. XLM has been on fire, says Crypto Billy. Yes, indeed it has. We've got Leo token down 1.2%. Not too unexpected as it is an exchange token, and when things are ripping to the upside, people are normally getting out of that exchange token. It did lose that spot to Stellar Lumens. We've got Avalanche up 6.4%. HBAR taken a position from Shiba Inu on that market cap, sitting up 8.6%. Shiba Inu up 5.8%, and Toncoin holding that number 20 spot, sitting up 5.8%. We are looking pretty greedy on the fear and greed meter. We've got the stock side up 1 point, sitting at 75, almost to extreme greed here. We've got the crypto side of things up 5 points and sitting at 71. So very, very close to that extreme greed all over again. If we continue to grab some topside liquidity, I do expect to see that extreme greed be hit. We've got Crypto Billy saying morning motivational mindset will be back next week right after BC's show. Just had to test some time slots on YouTube recommendations. Oh, so that's what was going on there. I was wondering, kind of bumped up with the Trade Intuitions show there. So we've got a little bit of topside liquidity for Bitcoin sitting at that $112,000 mark. That's kind of that area to watch for For the top side, we've got a little bit of liquidity up there, but most of the liquidity is sitting right underneath us at that 108 200 mark. That's an area I talked about at the beginning of the week, and that's that area I would like to see hold for Bitcoin, especially with that liquidity sitting there. We'll kind of have to see what the market does off of today's data drop. We do have quite a bit on that 3-day as well, sitting at that $108,000 mark, a little bit below that at 107,400. We'll zoom this on out, take a look at that 1 month. That 1 month showing us quite a bit of liquidity towards the upside still, $112,000. We have grabbed quite a bit of liquidity so far, but there's still just a tiny bit more to grab. We did talk about that at the beginning of the week, holding that 108 200 point, and seeing us grab some topside liquidity was my secondary move. I wanted to see us grab some of that bottom side liquidity. Now we've grabbed a lot of the top side liquidity, so it looks like that short-term bottom side liquidity is going to be next. Let's hop over to that economic calendar, because we did have some data that will be dropping today. That dropped yesterday. That was those FOMC minutes. We did get that little bit of a push towards the upside off of it. Today, we've got a little bit of data as well. Continuing jobless claims coming out at 8:30 Eastern time. That'll be a little bit higher on that forecast. We will kind of have to see if that comes out quite a bit higher, because that is that weakening job market. We have initial jobless claims as well, looking a little bit higher on that forecast. So we will watch this quite closely. I'm sure Piper will break it on down here when he does his morning market report. We've got a few Fed chairs speaking as well. Fed Mausoleum at 10. We've got another Fed chair speaking at 1:15, and another at 2:30 Eastern. That'll be the big news for today. Other than that, it is going to be quite a weak data week. We got our heavy one yesterday. We're kind of looking to see what kind of action we get off of that jobs data today. I do think we might see a little bit more upside and then see where the market take us after. And that was where I have my downside sitting at that 108 200. I see JR in the chat saying share link to socials if you have the time. I appreciate that, JR. We've got Trade Intuition coming on in here. Speak his name and he will appear. We've got Justin Eubanks in here. Yo, BC, good morning, alumni. Good morning to all of you. Hope you are having a great day so far. If you got those bingo bangos in the chat, go ahead and drop them in there. Let me get mine all situated, and I will drop those there as well. I don't know what happened, but apparently my membership went away. So there we go. Dropping those bingo bangos for you. Anyone else in the chat? We got Jay Violet in here. Good evening to you. She says, yes, Jesse needs sleep. He always needs sleep. That man is everywhere. Darren does things, grabbing his coffee, getting all prepped. He must be back now because he dropped those bingo bangos. Just released my new diss track for my troller. Lol, says Trade Intuition. Well, I just made some new songs for the YouTube, so we'll be teasing those before the show every single morning. Let's hop into this Bitcoin chart. We did see a little more upside here, and money flow stepping back into the green on this daily. We are bumping up against a little bit of resistance. I talked about 111 300 being that point to kind of watch for on some resistance. That's right around where we got that wick in action off of this green candle, and it does look like we're looking at a little bit of resistance at that area. We are above our golden pocket fib extension. That's an area to kind of watch for as some support. If we do come back down just a little bit, we have this area to see some potential bouncing at as well. which was this potential trend line. We did get a nice little bounce off of it on a shorter term time frame. Our volume is still quite low as money flow just starts to get back into the green, so we'll kind of have to keep our eye on that on our shorter term time frame to see if it starts bleeding into that higher term time frame. Let's take a look at this 4 hour, because things are moving quite sideways here on that daily. We do have this 4 hour looking like it's flagging out just a little bit here, seeing that very strong resistance at that $111,000 mark, getting that curvature on our MACD and our prime oscillator with a reversal signal that has flashed, some overbought signals as well. Money flow still coming on in as some buying pressure, and volume holding quite steady here, but it is still quite low volume. So seeing that low volume pump towards the upside, waiting to kind of see if we can hold that price back up at that $110,000 mark, which is that golden pocket fib extension. If we are unable to hold that up, we've got all of this liquidity back here at 108,200. That's that area to kind of watch for if you don't hold up that golden pocket. Let's get that zoomed on in, take a look at the hourly, see what the morning might be bringing our way here. And this is where you got your money flow still sitting extremely in the green. Volume kind of waning just a little bit here. So waiting to see if we can get a little more volume coming in at that 110,200 mark. That's that golden pocket fib extension to see some potential bouncing to grab the last little bit of liquidity towards the top side. Like I said, if we do not hold that, we've got that nice strong support back there at 108,200. You've got your MACD crossing to the bottom side of our indicator line, starting to print those red candles on our histogram, but volume starting to slow up a bit, so we can see that switch quite quickly with a little bit of some volume and money flow staying in the green. Let's take a look at a 15-minute, see what the morning might be bringing our way there. Looking like these are cooling off quite a bit with this sideways momentum, making some higher lows, but making lower highs. So constricting price quite nicely here on this 15-minute, cooling off these oscillators, waiting to see if we can get that continuation pump back towards the upside. Low volume here on the 15-minute as well, and money flow just dipping into some selling pressure. So we'll kind of have to see if that selling pressure continues and bleeds on over into our higher term time frames. I would watch that $110,000 mark all over again for a little bit of some support. We did get that nice little bounce off of that with the candle here. And waiting to see if we come back and test the midline of that fair value gap we saw on the hourly. This is that one candle here, fair value gap coming in right about that midline of our golden pocket fib extension. Let's get that drawn out so you can kind of see that hourly fair value gap. We've got the wick there and the wick here. Coming in a little bit below is that fair value gap middle. Golden pocket would be a nice little area to watch for some bouncing. We are back below our view up for the morning, so waiting to kind of see if we can get that nice strong push back up to it. I see Curtis Hill in here as well. Good morning to you. Got to check out ADA BC. Midnight going to be huge for ADA is my worthless opinion. I have heard quite a bit about midnight. I might have to get ADA Ace and you on here to kind of talk about that. I'm not that big in the ADA community, so would definitely need some help on that one. Can just do a big show on it once it starts rolling on out there. You got allergies to the like button or what? Where is the love for BC? I appreciate that, Crypto Billy. Let's hop into a few of these news articles here, because I did have a few of them I wanted to touch on for the morning. One of those is going to be the Supreme Court clears way for Trump to move forward with massive layoffs. This is something we've all been keeping our eye on, as those federal job market numbers were kind of holding up the job numbers with the last administration. And we did see a big halt to the mass layoffs that were initially pushed out with Doge, and it seems like they've made their decision for now before they wait and see with the next round of Supreme Court, the next round with the Supreme Court decision of how they actually lay people off. So they made their decision on if they can do it. Now they will have to wait for that to actually be done and see if how it's done is legal. We've got Jesse Gluck in here. I guess he is awake now. Good morning, Jesse. We've got Lasers Go Pew Pew in here as well. So, good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day. I'm gonna drop that Jesse got sleep in there. Jesse got sleep. There we go. Let's see. Anyone else in the chat? Nope, not looking like we got anyone else in here. I appreciate every single one of you tuning on in. Let's see what this news article was saying here. The Supreme Court on Tuesday lifted a lower court order that blocked sweeping layoffs of federal workers at nearly 24 agencies, while a legal battle over President Trump's plan to drastically cut the size of the government moves forward. The higher court's orders clears the way for the Trump administration to resume its efforts to reorganize and scale back the federal government, which has been led by the White House Department of Government Efficiency. The Justice Department turned to the Supreme Court for emergency relief after a federal judge in May ordered a halt to the jobs cuts and enforcement of other orders by Doge to slash programs or staff. In a brief, unsigned opinion, the Supreme Court said that the injunction issued by the district court was based on the view that Trump's executive orders and directives from the Office of Management and Budget and Office of Personnel Management implemented that actions are unlawful. Because the government is likely to succeed on its argument that the executive order and the memorandum are lawful, and because the other factors bearing on whether to grant a stay are satisfied, we grant the applications, the court said. We express no view on the legality of any agencies and reorganization plan produced or approved pursuant to the executive order and memorandum. The district court enjoined further implementation or approval of the plans based on its view about the illegality of the executive order and the memorandum, and not on any assessment of the plans themselves. Those plans are not before this court. And this is why we'll kind of have to wait and see if these job cuts will actually be legal. They're just making on a decision on the executive order for now, and we'll kind of have to see how they go about laying everyone off, because that will be the next part we will have to see is legal or not. This, like they said, that is not in front of them, just the executive order was. So for now, he can go ahead and lay off workers, and then once he lays off workers, they will make the decision on whether they went about that in the legal way. There are implementations that they would have to go about, and that would have to be more of a sweeping layoff as opposed to picking and choosing who to lay off. Let's get a list drawn up for some alt requests, because I see Crypto Billy dropping some things in there. We've got XLM, ADA, and ETH. Anyone else have some alt requests? Go ahead and drop them in there. We can take a look at those here in just a second. Let's see. 8 hours and 33 minutes of sleep, says Jesse. Well, you got me beat. Let's see what my watch says. I got 5 hours and 30 minutes of sleep. So you got me beat quite heavily there, Jesse. And this was the other big news articles I saw for the day. Jesse Gluck saying ETH to zero. I, I won't say that I don't like your sentiment, but I will say it is very unlikely. Oh, Lasers Go Peep who said, I got about 5 tabs too. Well, I got 5 tabs on this screen and I got 3 tabs on this screen. So doing a little bit of work in the background. Every time Jesse says ETH to zero, I DCA. K Diggity. Hey, we will kind of have to see if that is a good DCA plan. We'll have to go back and back test it, see on the chats every time Jesse says ETH to zero, what kind of gains you got off of that. It might be a decent one because he says ETH to zero almost every single day. So if you're buying at these sideways actions prices, you might be up quite heavily when we get to the peak. I mean, 5 hours of sleep, but I have five. Oh, I mean, 5 hours of sleep, but I got tabs open too. Oh, I must have read that. Must have read that wrong. The screen is very small because it's split up into four there. SEC's crypto mom says tokenized securities are still securities. New York, Reuters, a top U.S. securities regulator known for her supportive stance on crypto industry, said on Wednesday that new models for trading securities, known as tokenization, must still meet regulation for other securities. Hester Pierce, a Republican commissioner on the Securities and Exchange Commission, who has been nicknamed Crypto Mom, said in a statement, as powerful as blockchain technology is, it does not have magical abilities to transform the nature of the underlying asset. Tokenized securities are still securities. Tokenized equities is a process by which shares of a company are converted into a digital token, similar to how cryptocurrencies are traded. Instead of holding the securities directly, investors hold tokens that represent ownership of the security. Such tokens could be created by the security issuer itself or by an entity unrelated third party. Anyone who buys a third party token could face unique risks, she said. Crypto firms and others have been increasingly discussing the prospect of tokenizing securities as a new way to facilitate trading. Coinbase recently told Reuters it was seeking a U.S. green light from the SEC to offer blockchain based stocks. SEC's Chairman Paul Atkins, also a Republican, said in a CNBC interview last week that the agency should encourage innovation when asked about the prospect of tokenizing securities. Critics say the new technology could become a way to evade the SEC oversight and expose retail investors to new risks. We will kind of have to keep our eyes on this one because honestly, I kind of have to agree with her. If you're going to tokenize an asset, whatever that asset is deemed as by the SEC would kind of be the same thing that the tokenized version is. So if you're tokenizing a stock, that would mean that you've tokenized a security, meaning that this new version of your security is a security. I do think there will be some more regulation going on this going forward, and we'll have to watch it quite closely. Let's see what we got going on the altcoin market there. What happened at the FOMC minute? What was the summary? I can touch on that here in just a second. Let me get that pulled up in the background. We can kind of give that a little bit of a discussion there and see what they said. FOMC minutes summary. There we go. I will get that pulled up in the background. In the meantime, we got any other alt requests for me to take a look at? I had ADA first, and Ethereum and XLM to go over. So let's hop on to ADA here and we'll take a look at that. Let's see, FOMC minutes. Obviously, we know that they kept those the same. I see BNB requested. We can take a look at that one as well. Let me get that one added on the list there. So those minutes were summarizing that. They kept the rates the same. We already knew that one. A major focus was the inflationary impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs. Though policy makers agree tariffs may push prices up, views diverge on whether these effects will be temporary or persistent. Most expect inflation from tariffs to be modest or short-lived. Some warn of longer-lasting risks. Outlook on rate cuts. 10 members support a two-quarter point cut in 2025. A minority, about 7, expect no cuts, while 1 or 2 officials foresee only 1 cut. Let's see what else we got. They're going to be watching the labor market. That's something we've talked about quite heavily here on the Piper Academy. And what else do we got there? Looking ahead, the next meeting July 29th through the 30th, with broader debate expected in September about rate cuts. So not anything that we weren't expecting watching those labor markets and the tariffs going forward. So that was a lot of what we've been talking about here. We see ADA making that move up above 62 cents. We talked about that quite heavily yesterday, wanting to see 59 cents turned into some support. We got that nice little bounce in action there. A little bit above that trend line. Came in at the wicking actions and not the candle bodies there. And then we got that strong move up to 62 cents. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that 4-hour there. See what we're looking at going forward. I would look at potentially losing 62 cents all over again, as we're seeing a little bit of some sideways momentum coming in on that MACD, getting that curvature here on the prime oscillator as well, with some overbought signals having flashed as well. Volume is holding quite steady though, so waiting to see if that comes in as some selling pressure for now, and we'll kind of have to see if we come back and test the highs from back here. That is that 60-cent point we have talked about for ADA over and over again, and that's looking like a nice little area of interest for now. We did get a little bit of some hold up here at wrong button, at that 100 moving average. We'll kind of have to see if that gets a little more curvature back towards the upside, and we got that nice strong rejection off of the wick on that 200. Let's take a look at the 1 hour, see what the day might be bringing our way here. We were above all of our moving averages, got that nice strong bounce off of the 800 there. This is where you see all of those candle bodies really getting a little bit of constriction. Saw a little bit of resistance at the 900 and then blasted right through that to 62 cents. That was that area we had talked about the other day, and waiting to see if we get that retest of 60 cents now. Let's take a look at the 15-minute and the morning, as that MACD is sitting below our indicator line, getting that curvature down. Prime oscillator is doing so the same here, as volume is trying to hold steady. So waiting to see if we hold 62 cents or if we come back down just a little bit. 15-minute in the morning looking like it's trying to hold 62 cents for now. That's an area we've talked about over and over and over again for ADA, and we're finally back up there, trying to hold that quite steady for now. We've got these very equal highs, so that's something to keep your eye on. Might sweep to the top side to grab that liquidity first. and then come back down. If we hold 62 cents this morning, you do have that MACD moving quite sideways here. Prime oscillator getting that curvature down as we're getting some sideways momentum here. So watching this 62 cents to about 64 cents this morning. That's that little bit of some sideways action we've started to see now that we've gotten above 62 cents. If we are unable to hold that 62 cents, look back to 60 cents. So let me get that horizontal drawn out for you to kind of see where that bouncing action might come in. Looking like 61-ish. Where's those candle bodies? There we go. We got that 60.09. That's that area to kind of watch for. Let's take a look at some Ethereum. It's been a little while since I've taken a look at some Ethereum and got above an area we had talked about before, looking quite similar to back here. We've got that nice break above and then really blasted off of that to the 50% line on our fib extensions. Let's take a look at the 1 day, get that zoomed all the way out. There we go. Getting that nice move back above our 50% line on the fib extension. Waiting to see if that resistance comes in at 2,919. Looking like we're seeing some continued upside on both the MACD and the prime oscillator as money flow stays in the green and volumes just starting to increase here. So watching to at least maintain that 50% line, $2,747 before we make that move back up. We do have a little bit of a short-term resistance area to kind of watch for at $2,821 before we make our way back up to that 2,900 mark. Let's get that locked there. Get this one cleaned up because we are now above that quite heavily and we would have to watch for a new lower area. Let's take a look at the 4 hour here and see what the 4 hour might be bringing our way. 4 hour does look like we're seeing that resistance come on in at that 2,821. That's that nice little wick we saw off of that price action. Looking like we're seeing a little bit of a red candle here and seeing that sideways momentum come on in on that MACD. Prime oscillator getting that curvature and some overbought signals have flashed, but money flow just starting to increase. So looking like we might get that nice strong bounce in action off of that 50% line on the fib extension and then see what we'd look for next. If we're unable to maintain that this morning, we do have an area right below here where we see some very nice strong wick in action at about 2,681. Let me get that horizontal drawn on out for you. It's a little bit low there. There we go. 2,682 on those wicks. That's kind of an area if we lose this 50% line on the fib extension. Let's take a look at the 1 hour, see what the 1 hour is bringing our way here, continuing to make some higher highs, looking like we might break this low from back here. If we do, look back down to that 50% line as that MACD breaks to the bottom side of our indicator line here and we getting that curvature back down. We're printing those red candles on the histogram. We've got your prime oscillator cooling on off, waiting to see if we get that more cool off with some sideways action. Hold up at the 2,747 mark. Seeing that money flow extremely in the green and volume holding up quite nicely as well does bode for a little bit of some sideways action if we can see that continue and bleed on over into that higher time frame. We got Curtis Hill saying otter farts no more. Oh no. Lasers go pew pew. ETH moves alts, just saying. Yes, it definitely does. We normally see that be the front runner to a lot of those alt moves. Gonna drop some of those in drop some of those emojis in there. I got the real otter now, so dropping those otters in there. Let's see, anything else? Huge curvature, says JR. Yeah, a lot of these alts are seeing that curvature on the MACD and the prime oscillator there. Let's see, anything else? Nope, not seeing anything else. So let's take a look at that 15-minute and what the morning's bringing our way. Seeing that prime oscillator nice and cooled off here as money flow continues to maintain as some buying pressure. We've got your MACD that does look like it needs a little more cool off here, and the prime oscillator needs a little more cool off as well, as that volume is extremely low. Not too unexpected in between our European trading and that American market open. We normally see that volume be a little bit low before America's stock market open, so we'll kind of have to watch to see if we can at least maintain some of the sideways momentum, with that 2,747 being the bottom and 2,821 being the top. I would wait to see if we can get that push back up to 2,821, turn that into some support, and then try to make our way back up to that $3,000 mark. We do have a little bit of resistance coming in at about $2,920. All right, there was ADA and Ethereum. Let's take a look at some XLM. See what we're looking at. After XLM, got some crazy upside momentum there. Saw that golden pocket coming in as some resistance. That's strange. Let's take a look at that 4 hour. See what we're looking at there. Got some nice big selling wicks coming on in off of that golden pocket rejection. We do have an area to kind of watch for as some potential resistance at 31 cents if we can get above the golden pocket. Your MACD and your prime oscillator both getting that little bit of curvature back towards the downside here. You've got your overbought signals having flashed, a reversal signal having flashed, and your prime oscillator starting to move a little sideways here as well. So we'll kind of have to watch this short-term money flow. We've got your volume holding quite steadily here on XLM as well. I might trade today, says Lasers Go Pew Pew. Well, I might do the same. I am waiting for my deposit of some USDC to clear, and then we're going to move some money over to that trading account for us to trade all together. It should be all ready to go tomorrow morning, and with that extra money I deposited, I'm going to do a little bit of some trading myself. So keep your eyes out for tomorrow morning with some live trading together. We'll kind of have to pick a coin out in that top 20 and then see what we're looking at. We do have XLM seeing that little bit of a resistance at the golden pocket. Looking like we're seeing a little bit of some sideways momentum here as well, right underneath that golden pocket. So waiting to see if we can break above that. We do have an area of some support coming in at about 28 cents. That's where we saw that very strong bounce, and that's where all of these tops were before. So kind of an area to watch for some bottoming action. If you don't see that hold quite nicely, then I would look a little bit lower. You do have all of the highs from back here. That'd be that next area to kind of keep your eye on. That's going to be 27 cents, 27.5 cents to kind of keep your eye on if you don't maintain 28.5 cents. Alexandra G, oh my goodness, good morning to you. I don't see you here very often, so you must be up extra early, Mod Queen. Let me drop those emojis in there for you. If you got them, drop those Mod Queen emojis. Looking like we're seeing some sideways action here for XLM as well on the hourly. You've got your prime oscillator back in the green, waiting to see if that money flow bleeds over from that shorter term time frame into the higher term time frame there. You do see your MACD sitting below our indicator line here as well. For the 15-minute, you are seeing that curvature back to the downside. You've got a bearish divergence and the curvature back to the downside on the prime oscillator there as well. Waiting to see if this volume and money flow kind of holds things up at 28 cents. We do have 2 bounces off of it so far. Waiting to see if we get that third bounce and a move back up towards that golden pocket to try to turn this into some support. If you're unable to maintain 28 4 4 9, I would look back to 27 6 1. So those are those levels to kind of watch for on XLM. Let's take a look at BNB, and then we're gonna wind the show on down because it is a time for me to head to work after that. Let me find BNB there. There we go. A little bit higher on that market cap. Saw our platinum pocket hold up quite nicely. Let's get this zoomed out a little bit further. Take a look at that 4-hour. See what we're looking at there. Oh, that's the 236. I don't know why that's the wrong color there. Let me get this changed because we have our 236s being orange. There we go. Now we know that's the 236. Got that nice strong bouncing action off of the 236 here on the 4-hour. Seeing these highs come in as a bit of resistance. That's $674. Being that strong resistance area, that's where we saw all of that wick in action coming on in. Where we saw that resistance coming back in all over again. It's 4:30 here, bud. It is almost 5:30 here. You must be behind me in time. So let's see. We've got Alexandra G, I think, is at like 3:30 in the morning. So Lasers says it's 6:30 there. So we got all the time zones here. I think we're just missing one time zone. So almost all of the time zones are covered here at this show. Let's take a look at the 1-hour. This 4-hour is getting a little bit of some curvature, but doing so with some nice green money flow and volume holding up quite steady. So seeing if we can at least maintain some of the highs from here. Going to be $665. That's where we're seeing all of these nice little candle bodies and wicks bouncing off of. So coming back to turn that into some support as we cool off these oscillators would be something to watch for. Justin Eubank saying 5:30, so he must be central time as well. We do have the curvature here on the MACD, prime oscillator heading back down, but money flow starting to head back up. So we'll kind of have to watch as that volume decreases and money flow comes back in as some buying pressure. If we can maintain $665.50 and see if we can get our way back up to $673. Let's take a look at that 15-minute, see what the morning might be bringing our way here. Cooling off these oscillators quite heavily. We've got that bearish divergence, money flow still increasing here, but volume still decreasing as your MACD cools off and that prime oscillator tries to cool off more as well. So looking like we might make our way back down to that $665 and then try to make that stronger push back up. If you are unable to maintain $665, take a look at that 236 all over again and $656. All right, anything else we got? Nope, it is 5:30. Time to wind that show on down. I will see y'all at the next one. I appreciate every single one of you for showing up and showing out. I will see y'all at the next one. We've got quite a bit to get done today. I hope everyone wakes up because today's going to be a good day.
Pocket full of dreams, no loose change. Flipping pennies to dollars, my range insane. Cattle grazing wide, land for the fam. Freedom ain't free, gotta buy that land. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's a harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep. Bought a piece of dirt, turned it into gold. Hustle in my veins, yeah, the story's old. Ain't no Wall Street, this is Main Street grind. Freedom's in the ledger, dollar signs aligned. Greenback stacking, the smell of success. A life without chains, no more distress. Money ain't the goal, it's just the key. Unlocking the door to living free. Hay bale, ill stacked, barns full of grain. Portfolios fat, no financial strain. Farm to the markets, flipping what I sow. Freedom's the harvest, watch the profit flow. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's the harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep. Hay bale stacked, barns full of grain. Portfolios fat, no financial strain. Farm to the markets, flipping what I sow. Freedom's the harvest, watch the profit flow. Stacks on stacks, I'm planting my seed. Freedom's the harvest, it's all that I need. Invest in tomorrow, watch the roots grow deep. Building my empire while the world's asleep.